Thank you. In her book, The Writing Life, Annie Dillard wrote, "When we write, we lay out a line of words. This passage of words can be a miner's pick, woodcarver's gouge, surgeon's probe. We wheel words together until they dig a path for us to follow. Then we find ourselves in new territory. Is it a dead end, or have we located the real subject? In a writer's self-effacement, we lay words carefully, watching the angles form, shaping the story, revealing the truth. Writing a story is interesting and exhilarating. The task is difficult and complex that engages all of our intelligence. Writers possess the ability to create whatever they desire, and usually they generate themes centered on human connection and empathy. To achieve this, they use strategies to build trust between them and their readers. Recently, I embarked on a journey across the nation that introduced me to a variety of women, representing different socioeconomic status, ethnicities, religions, and ages, focusing on their reproductive health, mental health, choices surrounding bodily autonomy, an experience with trauma where they weren't able or allowed to exercise free choice. This experience and research, I used storytelling strategies to craft these women's narratives that healthcare professionals could employ to improve women's healthcare. Truth is personal. It is what we see, assume, and believe as filtered through our own lens and orientation. Lee Gutkind. As professionals, it is easy to go about our day without much consideration to the theoretical implications of what we do. For most individuals, the task of opening up and telling their story is not an easy one. Shame, misunderstanding, cultural differences, and limited face time influences a patient's decision to trust their medical provider. Stories build empathy, and medical empathy is essential to quality health care. My own life experience taught me the importance of having access to this quality health care. I know the generations of women before me fought for this reality. Unfortunately, many American women are suffering from the lack of access to this health care, and this harsh reality became my why. Women want choices free from judgment. Women want support. And to accomplish this, we must first learn to comprehend an individual's story instead of condemning them. Building rapport and trust when you are viewed as a person of more power and privilege is difficult. Through my work of amplifying women's voices, I encountered similar obstacles. And I found strategies to overcome these challenges to write these women's stories that do encourage empathy. Strategy 1, sometimes talking is just too painful, as was the experience of many women that I interviewed. When I encountered this issue, I allowed alternative methods of communication, such as writing it down. Patients and medical providers alike could try something similar to improve communication. To better explain, meet Heather. Heather and I instantly bonded over our shared experience of being educators and artists. But when the conversation shifted to her wanting to be a mom, or to her journey to becoming a mom, she requested to email me. I provided my email address, and I waited. Through her words, I discovered that her religious background influenced her journey to becoming a mom. Like a handful of women I had interviewed, she found herself with an unintended pregnancy at the age of 20 while attending college. She succumbed to panic and fear as she wrote herself a letter stating, "How could I be so stupid and careless?" When she finally delivered, she found herself needing an emergency C-section. I asked her, Did you want an emergency C-section? She explained she was young, scared, and trusted her medical team. But her story introduced me to the statistics involving Black mothers and their prenatal care. Black mothers are more likely to be bullied and pressured into having a C-section and their pain diminished over white mothers. This alone is reason to find alternative methods of communication to where every patient can have their voice and concerns heard. Strategy number 2. An understanding and a respect for another person's culture can bridge that divide and build trust. My graduate degree is a Master of Arts in Liberal Studies with an emphasis of art, literature, and culture. I chose to study contemporary Native American art, specifically Tony Abetta's Gathering from Four Directions. This decision introduced me to the term dinyé, another word for Navajo. This helped me when I interviewed this next woman, Joni, who belongs to the Navajo Nation. When we first spoke, I asked her how she wanted to be represented, dinyé or Navajo. She paused and said, "I'm shocked you even knew that." Why would anyone want to read literature or study art? Because reading literature and studying art provides a window into another culture, point of view, and differences. By simply studying Abetta's piece, Gathering from Four Directions, and knowing the term dinyé, and simply asking Joni how she wanted to be represented, built that bridge from my culture to hers, and she told me her story. When she was a young girl, she would often visit her grandmother on the Navajo reservation in Arizona. There would be nights where she would see her uncle leave the bedroom with alcohol tainting his breath and his soul, and she's thinking, what did I do to deserve this? Years later, she found herself in her mother's bathroom studying the results of a pregnancy test. She developed enough courage to wipe away her tears to tell her mom that at the age of 15, she was pregnant. Native American communities are geographically isolated, which makes having access to quality health care and food a challenge for many individuals, resulting in massive human rights violations. Nearly 1 in 3 Native American women has been raped, and this is probably an undercount considering most women do not come forward and the way that they're collecting the data. The sexual violence plaguing our Native American communities is a human rights violation that we must all work to combat, and that begins with having a basic understanding of their culture. Strategy number 3, even when there is a cultural difference, sharing common values and goals builds trust. Meet June. June is a first-generation Korean American who found herself caught between 2 cultures. Growing up, June's mother tried to shape her into becoming the most perfect version of herself. Everything she did either brought honor or dishonor to her family, and this impacted her reproductive health. In June of 2021, her husband rushed her to the emergency room where the doctor informed her she needed to have a hysterectomy. Shocked, June said, "I'm sorry, I thought you said I needed a hysterectomy." June and her husband found themselves grieving over a child that they may never be able to have. The doctor did preserve 1 ovary, so if she wanted to choose surrogacy, she had that option, or adoption. But her culture is making it difficult for her to make a decision. We bonded over our shared desire to advocate women and women's reproductive health. She encourages all women to go for their yearly exams because we believe in removing shame. Why? Because shame dies when stories are told in safe places. As a writer, I had to keep my eyes on the objective, advocating women and promoting empathy in their health care. Interviewing these women required patience and empathy, as does treating women. The fact that stories are subjective does not negate the value of an office visit, which is the cornerstone of quality health care. Different people see the world differently, and it is our job to build that connection. I'm going to end with a poem by Emily Dickinson. If I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. If I can ease one life the aching, or cool one's pain, or help a robin onto his nest, I shall not live in vain. Thank you.